I'm ready. All right. Good afternoon. Do you testify that the information that you have given is correct and to your best of your knowledge?
I do testify, thank you.
What is your experience with working with trauma victims?
So I have 12 years experience in the field of social work, working with children and families who are in the immigration system, some part of the immigration system. All of my clients haven't experienced trauma, but the majority have. So I have 12 years of experience working with trauma victims, although all of my clients haven't been trauma victims.
Okay. How long have you been working with ORR?
So specifically with the Office of Refugee and Resettlement, I have 6 years providing home study and post-release services, case management services.
And can you explain exactly what your role is at ORR?
Yeah, so through the home study program, I work with the families of children who are in ORR care. And as a home study worker, I go meet the families, see their living environment, and determine if it's a safe place for the children to be released to. Through post-release services is sometimes an extension of the home study services, and sometimes they are standalone services and no home studies involved. But that's where I work with the children once they're already in the care of their family or whoever's sponsoring them, and make sure they're connected to education and health resources, and that they understand the expectations of the immigration system here in the United States.
All right. As an LCSW, why didn't you conduct your own psych evaluation?
So, working with the Office of Refugee and Resettlement, some of us are LCSWs, but many are social workers and not licensed clinical social workers. So, our role is specific to the post release services or home study. We can provide case management and counseling services, but we're limited to what we're allowed to provide in terms of clinical services. So for that reason, we're required to partner with a psychologist or a psychiatrist to do a full evaluation per the ORR's guidance.
Okay. Did you find her story of trauma to be credible?
Yes, I did. I found her story to be credible for a couple of reasons. One being that in comparing how she reported the trauma to me, as well as looking back as when she initially entered the United States and reported the trauma to ORR staff, her details remained the same. Also, the symptoms that she's showing are in line with somebody who has experienced trauma.
Do you feel like she could have been faking any of her symptoms or her story?
It doesn't seem likely, just based on most of the children families that I work with. It's very unlikely that people are inventing these types of traumas. In fact, in Fatima's case, if she hadn't been forthcoming about the trauma in the first place in the ORR, she likely would have been reunited with her family much sooner. She wouldn't have been required to go through the home study process. And so there doesn't seem to be any advantage for her to, be making that up.
Do you know if she received any care for trauma while she was in Guatemala?
No, Fatima didn't receive any care for trauma while she was in Guatemala. And in doing some research in that area and working with the family, it doesn't appear that there are those types of resources available to her where she was living.
And lastly, does her father have any connection with this uncle that hurt her?
No, so the uncle who was responsible for the assault is a maternal uncle, and her father doesn't have any contact with him and doesn't allow him to contact anyone in their family in the United States. Unfortunately, Fatima's family, who still lives in Guatemala, they cannot avoid having contact with him at this time. But Fatima's father is working on a way to try to make sure everyone in his family is safe, even those in Guatemala.
And In your expert opinion, what do you think is best for Fatima?
In my expert opinion, it's in Fatima's best interest that she stay in the United States where she can have access to the continued services she needs to adjust from her trauma. But also, being granted asylum would give her the security she needs to start focusing on her future without this constant fear of being forced to return to a situation that's not safe, which this constant worry is having a direct impact on her day-to-day mental health.
Well, thank you for your time and thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.